guys? The other night I discovered some things that I haven't seen anyone talking about yet, so decided to share them here with you. You know I'm all about builds and optimization, and this is what I've been sinking my teeth into ever since getting this legendary weapon that had me initially super excited to just use and kill things with, but ended up sending me down a deep rabbit hole of testing game mechanics for a good couple days now. The weapon in question here, Divine Vengeance, the upgraded Warden four-burst assault rifle that causes explosions on every third crit. Super fun weapon to use, so if you've got one sitting in your inventory and you've just been sleeping on it, I recommend giving it a shot. Haha, pun intended. The explosion is AoE, and it does significant damage, and it has this kind of unique mechanic where the crits don't have to be consecutive. They don't even have to be on the same target. Think of it as just like a counter that builds up by one each time you crit. So you could crit a first target once, body shot him to death, and then get a couple more crits on a different target, and after the third total crit, the explosion goes off. So you never have to worry about like wasting time building up your proc. It's always counting and always beneficial, so super good weapon. When I got this specific drop, I saw that weapon plus 225% damage, and here I thought, like, oh, that's awesome, like kind of just assuming that it would apply to the explosion as well, but it doesn't. So that got me wondering, what does increase the damage of the explosion, if anything? I kind of wanted to try and maximize that. So one of my clanmates said that he felt like his blast damage modifier was increasing the damage of the explosion on his. It does say that it's a fire explosion. Fire is an element, does elemental stuff work? So I kind of wanted to test all this stuff out and see. So a few of the things I did were, I did test also the gear icon. I know gear is just supposed to apply to that piece of gear, and then the javelin icon means it applies to everything. But just kind of to rule it out, make sure that there wasn't anything working unintentionally, I did test this modifier. That did not increase the damage of the explosion at all. Physical doesn't. I tried weapon damage with the javelin icon on a piece of gear to see if maybe that affected it, but the modifier on the weapon didn't. That also did not increase the damage, so both of those things kind of working as intended, no fortunate unintentional consequences. But with the elemental modifier and a javelin icon, that did increase the damage of the explosion. So I'm assuming 15 is pretty low end of the spectrum, but that's the best I've got for this slot right now, so that's what I ran with. Elemental is the first thing that I found that does increase it. So over in my grenades, I didn't really have anything else that I could test with, but I did have another elemental modifier there. I did try each of them separately, and they both increase the amount of damage. So elemental, great for increasing the damage of your blast. And then I tested this out on both Ranger and on Interceptor to see how their different mods work. With Ranger, you do get blast damage components. 50% blast damage lowers impact by 20%. So the decrease in impact does reduce the damage of your bullets, but since your bullets are hitting for less than the explosion, and these are percentages, and the blast damage increase is 50 versus the 20 decrease in impact, you end up having a net gain. Like the increase to the explosion far outweighs the decrease in bullet damage. And what you're going to want to do, since you're a ranger, is use both the purple one and the masterwork one. They do stack. I did test each of them individually and together, and this is the way you're going to want to go. In comparison, when I tested this out on Interceptor, who has a lot of weapon damage buffs and some all damage buffs, the result was, if you want to focus on your bullet damage, like the gun itself, Interceptor is the way to go, for sure. Much higher damage potential there. But the blast, even with every possible modifier I could add on Interceptor, did not even come close to what the Ranger puts out with these double blast components. So double blast is better than all damage on Interceptor when it comes to the blast. But again, if you want to just make a gun build, Interceptor is going to be better. But for this gun, the blast is definitely what you're going to want to go for. So I'll show you in action some of the numbers this thing is putting up, and you can see for yourselves. Alright, I don't want to make this too long of a video, so we'll just hop into free play, Grandmaster 2, show off the max potential. We'll use Assault Rifle mod for bullet damage, Fire mod for explosion damage, and oops, shields, just cause why not? Don't want to die in a build showcase. Alright, let's find it. There's one thing I forgot to mention earlier about this weapon that's kind of cool, and that you can proc the explosion through any type of shields, be it the enemy Colossus giant shields or regular energy shields. If you shoot the weak point through a blue shield, you'll proc the explosion, help drop the shield faster. And if you're fighting the big Colossus guys, like, you can just shoot the shield anywhere, like just shoot the shield, and your bullets will do 0 damage, but you will proc the explosion, so you can still kill them just by shooting their shield.
I'm detecting scar movement nearby. Scouts, probably. That could turn ugly.
Right on.
You found the scars. Make sure they don't alert their nest.
I got 8k yellow for our red bar. And there, I was shooting a shield, proccing the explosion, killing a little guy by shooting the big guy. It's great. Basically my heal. Damage is mostly from my weapon. Well, there it is. I shouldn't have just focus fired him, but whatever, you got to see the build in action, see the damage it does. Obviously it's better when you're not just standing there like an idiot.